Welcome to the Model Rail Replacement Podcast, helping you get to your onward journey. A friendly service that helps you get from A to B, or probably nowhere at all.
Hello, welcome to the Model Rail Replacement Podcast. I'm your host, James, and with me is co-host and producer.
Sam, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Sam. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. It's been you and I have had a busy couple of weeks in terms of life, and our recording schedule has been completely off from what it usually is. So things don't match up in terms of timelines of everyone, and things are all a little bit doolally. But otherwise, I'm okay. How are you?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm coming or going, to be honest. This week has just been constant podcast recordings. It feels like it's an actual job. It was never meant to be like that, not at least without payment. And yeah, we're upping the subs on Patreon to £100 for basic. I'm all the way up to £500 for Superfan. So if you pay that one, we will sign a photograph of Roger Moore for you. There, it's a good business deal, right?
Sounds perfect. What have you been up to hobby-wise, James?
Oh, well, what have I been doing? Oh, this Rail 200 competition. Why did I decide to do that? I did not need this in my life. It's just taken over. And obviously, I've had to put lots of effort into it. You know, you can't just hand anything shoddy. So I have, I think I've done two things actually. I built a water tower for it. So I picked up a second-hand kit from House Models. It was only a fiver. It turned out to be a ratio kit. They're about worth about 25 quid or something like that. But so I was like, yeah, but and all it was missing was the instructions, which I didn't really need because I ended up just kit bashing it anyway. So yeah, I built that, and I'm particularly pleased with how it looks. And then I decided I need a little house up in the corner. So I'm having mostly scratch building, but as time is a factor, I decided to take a Metcalf kit that came free to the subscribers of Railway Modeler. I think it was a subscriber only kit of a little cottage. And I would like to say that if you looked at it, you wouldn't know it was a Metcalf kit. That's what I want to
Really?
say about that. Yeah. In fact, I'll send you a photo.
Thank you. That's mainly why I'm your friend. It's solely so I can get the photos before everyone else.
Everyone else have to wait until the video's ready. And I've got to leave the video to the last minute to make sure no one can catch up, if you know what I mean. So about September 20th, it'll probably come out because then you've only got 10 days to try and get your entry in. So I've actually had to go with Plumber's Hemp to do some thatched roofing, which I never did before, Pendon style. It stinks. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Like, yeah, you know that musty smell you get when you go see an old model railway exhibition that's been there for a few years. I
Yeah.
now know why that smell is there. It's probably because they've used plumber's hemp, and that stuff don't stop smelling. It just, even when it's been painted, still got a bit of a funk to it.
Mate, that looks banging. That
Yeah,
looks really
can't.
good.
Yeah, meh.
Shame you cheated and used a model that was all ready to go. But I mean, otherwise, yeah, well done.
That is, I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but I mean that the brickwork has all been scribed out and repainted. Then the side bricks have all been cut out and applied on. The walls have been repainted with a mixture of white paint and talcum powder to give a rendered effect. Works very well. All the lintels of window sills have all been cut out and reapplied. The doors have been cut out. All the windows have had the so it was printed originally. I've cut out a postage label into tiny strips and then laid it over the windows so they look 3D rather than the printed effect that Metcalf produced. And as I say, it's now got a thatched roof rather than a tiled roof. So oh, and it's got light with an interior detail. So that's what I've been doing. It was bloody knackering.
It does look really good. It really does look good. Well done.
Yeah, thank you very much. What have you been up to? Been trapping any more layouts in the loft?
We've just had a conversation about this, and that's the only reason it's popped into your mind. The Chatham layout is It's a functioning layout. That's the best way I can word it right now. And I've deliberately not posted any pictures or anything of it. And James is the only person, I believe, who has actually seen where the layout currently stands at this moment. And that's purely because I needed to send it to someone just to be like, is this okay? To which James just went, cool. And then that was it. So, I mean, I guess no feedback is good feedback, guys. Um,
I said, cool. I think I said, good job.
oh, thanks.
When did you send that? Yeah, yesterday. What time? Yeah, I was at work. It was busy.
Well, thank you for responding to me. So yeah, so the Chatham layout is underway. I tell you what, so this is where our timeline thing is just so difficult for people who are listening, so apologies. So I had the Guildford uh Astolat Astolat Astolate show on this Sunday just gone. One day event at the Spectrum Centre, and it was really nice. It was a really lovely little show. Once again, everyone was really friendly, and I had a really nice time there. And Octopus Models or Octopus Hobbies was there. I don't know if you've seen them before, but they've genuinely upped their game since the last time I saw the stand. So I previously knew them that they had like a signal box that was actually a pen holder, but it was an MDF pre-printed kit that you could build and you could put your paintbrushes or your pen lids and stuff like that in there. But they've upped their game and they've got some really nice pre-printed MDF buildings. And they have, and I actually spoke to the two owners of it, and it turns out they are inspired by the flats that you see as you drive into Portsmouth on the M275, and they look great. So I picked up a couple of sets of those to put on the layout, and because they're pre-printed, it's taken a massive weight off my shoulders that I don't have to necessarily paint them; I just have to weather them. So I've been doing that. So I have a functioning layout. It definitely has ballast, track, and some sort of scenery on it. So if worst comes to worst, there's something moving at the Chatham exhibition, which is the main thing.
That's good. You'll be fine. Yeah, people just come to see you weathering anyway.
Yeah, that's the whole reason it's there, isn't it? The whole reason was to have a really, really small layout that shows what you can do. You could effectively have this layout on a dining room table, but also having models that I've weathered going around is, and it's the best way I can describe it is the whole layout itself is meant to look dirty, grimy, and gloomy, and it's got that for me as the person building and painting it, it's got that very sort of 80s, 90s dark, dingy feel to it. James has obviously seen a picture of it without the light on, but hopefully it's going to capture that when you see it at Chatham.
Everything's just dirty. Just your style of weathering.
Oh yeah, there we go. Too much, I believe. I believe someone commented.
Should we do news?
Yeah, let's do news. What has been going on, James, in the world of model railways?
Hornby got another steam generated locomotive. I think Merchant Navy this time. Channel packet, I think.
Yes, that's the one. Spam can.
Yeah, big old spam cam that now's got smoke coming out of the top of it. How about that? So that was last week's announcements, I think. But because we were recording so early, it was nothing was on time. Whatever got announced last week, I think it was only that. But this week, Rapido have got a couple of surprises for us, haven't they?
They have indeed. Now, James, all I can say is that I believe these are beautiful, but as a non-steam aficionado, I don't know a lot about them. So tell me, what is this?
This is the Manning Wardle that has been announced by Rapido some time ago. It's an industrial locomotive. I think it's a Hudswell Clark on there. No, it can't because it's a Manning Wardle. What the hell am I talking about? Anyway, yeah, it's an industrial locomotive. There's various industrial liveries on offer. The Rapido are known for, if you don't follow them on Instagram, they quite often will post what they call rejected liveries. So some of their models that they plan to make, they will just for a bit of fun put a random livery on it, and sometimes they're absolutely garish, and they might have like the Southeastern and Chatham Railway O2 and put an intercity livery on it, and then go rejected. We ain't making that. And every now and then they do a livery that they go rejected. We're not doing that, and the public go, oh, I really wish you would. So this did happen with the South of Eastern and Chatham Railway O2, where they did it in the Bluebell Railway blue livery as Bluebell the locomotive is painted in. Um, so it's like the South Eastern Chatham Railway lining exactly the same, except it's blue instead of green. So that was very popular. So they decided to produce that one. And to go with it, they are going to produce. Now, it started off with a Southeastern Chatham Railway green on the Manning Wardle, which was very well received online, even though it was never carried in real life. And so they've decided to be producing that one along with the blue version, and they're going to call that one Hawthorn. So it's going to be just like a bramble is what the O2's been named. Um, same livery style with the blue. Southeastern Chatham Railway looks absolutely fantastic, and with Hawthorn and with bramble on the way. I mean, I looked at the photo and I was kind of like, oh, I wish I'd bought Bluebell in the P class now because having like those three logos, I think would just look great. Like Hawthorn, Bluebell, and Bramble in that absolutely stunning blue livery. Um, just looks so good. But yeah, Southeastern Chatham Railway one looks great as well. So yeah, they are two additional Manning Wardle. I think it's L class locomotives off the top of my head. Yeah, uh, coming soon to a shop near you, available for pre-order. So there we go.
Very nice, and they do look gorgeous. I think there's something about that Chatham green, like it just and well, both of the colours look beautiful. And would I purchase them? No. Do they look beautiful? Yes. So go out and buy one if you like your Steam logos.
Yeah, yeah, Southeastern Chatham Railway is a very lovely livery. But that blue, there's something about that blue. It's really stunning. So yeah, there we are. If you fancy it, go and get one. And if not, save your money and buy something else. You know, that's our advice. There we
There you
go.
go.
So we take a break, and when we come back, we have Adam from Railstuff, don't we?
Yeah, and this is quite an interesting interview because they are the other podcast.
Oh, that's lovely. Ooh. 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 Yeah, look at that. That's dirty. That is filthy.
Sir, you can't get that out right now. Not in the middle of a dinner party.
Why not? I want to show it to all of my guests.
I'm afraid it's just not appropriate, sir.
Nonsense, Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, look at that.
I say, has he whipped out his dirty shunter for us all to see? You can get your models weathered by Emperor's Path using just the airbrush for a light dusting, or alternatively, oil paints and airbrush to add that extra depth. Contact Emperor's Path on Instagram at emperors_path, or alternatively, emperorspathcontact@gmail.com. Emperor's Path Weathering. If it's not dirty, let's fix that.
Only Emperor's Path makes it that dirty.
Right then, this week we have another guest to interview. And this one's kind of crossing the borders because we like to get a business or a manufacturer in, but we also like to get modelers in. Today, we've got one that's in both camps. So, welcome to the show, Adam from Railstuff.
Hello. This is a
Hello.
bit weird being on this side.
This is where the battle of control will start to show through as the two podcast presenters have a sort of a chin wag, and we'll see who tries to lead and sort of take the reins. But
I can try and
I've got them.
behave.
I've got them for the moment. How are you anyway?
Not too bad. It's pretty warm. It's I don't know exactly when this episode's going out, but today's the warm day. So it's a bit sticky in here, but coping. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be all right in here, and I've been in here for 10 minutes, and I can already feel the sweat pouring off my head. It is a hot one today, but that's summer for you, I suppose. Let's get into it then, Adam. Would you like to tell our listeners a little bit about yourself? You know, your modeling history, your business, how that's come to be. How did you get to where you are today?
By making many mistakes in my life, I guess. Um, but yeah, so probably if anyone does know me, then they would know me most through my business Railstuff, which we've just passed the 4 year anniversary of Railstuff being in business, which has gone pretty quickly. Um, but yeah, I had a change of career in 2021, and at that point, I'd been kind of doing the same thing for a long time, just across different companies, and I decided that enough was enough, and I wanted to go it alone, and I wanted to focus on model railways. And I've been an on and off railway modeler. I was a modeler as a child. I was lucky enough to have a room big enough to have a small roundy layout in when I was growing up. So I had that, and then obviously you grow up and you discovered like beer and girls, and your attentions go elsewhere, and then you go off to uni, and but then I was one of those lockdown returnees. And actually, I was spending a bit of time with my dad at the time over in Suffolk, and we decided to build a layout together, and we had great fun doing it, and it got me really enthused in the hobby again. And then 2021 came around, and um, having sort of come back to the industry as a modeler, there were certain things that really frustrated me in terms of trying to buy, particularly online. And I thought, maybe I can do better. So yeah, I set up Rail Stuff, which is primarily focused on scenics and accessories. That has very much grown on the sort of paint and weathering side, and airbrushes, and all that kind of stuff. But one thing that you won't find at Rail Stuff is any track or any trains for sale. We're very much specialized in telling the story around the layout is kind of where we get to. But yeah, so I've been an on and off modeler and ended up um, thinking I knew better and could do it myself.
I like that, and that's nice. It's nice that you returned the hobby and yeah, gonna have a business out of it. And I like your stall. I've seen it at shows. I've come round, and you definitely got all those little bits that you need, and you don't have to keep. One of the things you go to shows and you're like, you got a shopping list of what you want. You have to go traipsing around trying to find this paint or this bit of scatter or something like that. And you tend to have everything that you need. Like you say, you don't have the locos and you don't have the track, but you've got all the other bits, and that's what I like about your store. It's very convenient for that.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I think at the same time, I've tried to curate the range quite heavily, though. I don't just want everything that you'll find everywhere else. And that means finding new brands, smaller brands, niche brands that maybe haven't come to market, with other retailers before, or also looking at brands that maybe others don't tend to use. So, I've been a big seller of MIG ammo stuff for years, which is becoming a lot more commonplace in railway modeling now. But, even a couple of years ago, was more thought of as a military modeler's product. So, it's about finding the right products that are slightly different to everyone else, and see what we can do.
Yeah, and of course, you don't have to be a railway modeler to use the products, as you say. Lots of military modelers can also benefit from what you sell, I take it.
Yeah, and actually, there is a school of thought that maybe I did the naming wrong at the beginning, because I've kind of very much pigeonholed myself into railway modeling, and maybe it should have been scenic stuff or or something like that. But my passion lies within railway modelling, so that's always going to be my focus.
That's fair enough. Rail stuff and friends. That'll be quite
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
Well, one question I've been wanting to ask you, and because you do have your own podcast, and it's a very entertaining listen. You regularly get guests on to chat to, but I don't think anyone has ever asked you the question: what is your favourite cheese?
And of course, anyone who doesn't listen to the Railstuff podcast is instantly confused. Yeah. And do you know what? I really should have just an immediate go-to answer, shouldn't I?
Yeah. Oh,
But
I've thrown a curveball in there.
it's going to sound a little boring, but it is purely about the taste and the smoothness, and I love a drop of Edam. I really do. I know it's very mild, but I love the creamy taste of it, and a bit of Edam with some grapes and crackers. Happy days.
Very nice, very nice. I'm not a big cheese connoisseur, but I do like a smoked cheese. I always quite enjoy the taste of one of them. But,
I know
yeah.
that Dan Everson came on my podcast, and I was talking about his favorite cheese which was it was something that had apricots in it as well, I think, off the top of my head. And he messaged me a couple of days later because somebody had listened to it, one of his followers, and had then sent him a box full of his favorite cheese, which I thought was great. And maybe now I've said Edam, I'll land a box of Edam at some point.
You never know. You never know. Fingers crossed for you. Let us know. Let us know if the cheese arrives at your door. So
I will do, and if not, I'll just go buy some myself this week.
cool. So yeah, as we said, you are a business, but you are a modeler, and we thought we'd ask you about both. So we're going to combine our usual questions that we like to ask other modelers that come on the show with questions about your business and sort of mix it up a bit to get a bigger picture of your world. So I'm going to throw in our usual first question of steam, diesel, or electric.
Diesel. I love a diesel. It's not to say that I'm not a steam fan. It's just I love a diesel. And I just love the sound, the sheer power of those huge diesel engines, and to think what they used to be able to achieve from such an early era onwards. Is great, and there's nothing like the thrash of a diesel. So, yeah, diesel for me.
That's fair enough. Is there a memory that you think is the one that unlocked that love for diesels? Is there a time when you were a child and stood by the railway line and the particular class of locomotive went by and you went, "Yeah, that's for me."
Yes and no. I mean, I grew up in Essex. Don't hate me for that, but I grew up in Essex. In the age when I was growing up, it was and Sam's about to wet himself, but it was toothpaste liveries everywhere. It was Network Southeast everywhere. Absolutely, I adore anything Network Southeast. But it was a mainly electrified line, so I didn't really see much diesel. But I had an uncle that used to take me over to Didcot,
Yeah.
and that always involved a trip on the HSTs out of Paddington.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, if anyone, no, actually, I won't say what I was about to say because I think it's one of your future questions, so I won't say what I was about to say. But yeah, those memories live long.
Yeah. I remember going to Didcot Railway Centre. I must have been about 8 years old. I think it was the first time I ever went there. And obviously, because it's nestled within the surrounding Great Western Main Line and the diverging line to Oxford, just didn't realise that who were there. All the trains going by, and I still have the memories of those intercity liveried Class 47s on the cross country, just thundering by the railway centre. I think the Duke of Gloucester on a Royal Mail display train going up and down the line. And I remember seeing that was there. And yeah, it's a great place to really see everything bar electric. Nowadays you can get the electric there. They're not
Yeah,
as pretty. They're not as pretty.
I mean, my nearest line to home is an all diesel line. It's yeah, my nearest train station is either Uttoxeter or Blythe Bridge, which for anyone who knows that part of the world is on the Crewe to Derby line. So it's EMR or East Midlands, whatever they're called this week. And you know that is yeah solely diesel thundering across there. So it's quite nice to be able to catch a bit of diesel live these days.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's I like that. Of course, it'll all be Great British Railways eventually, and we won't have to worry about the names anymore.
Oh,
Is it?
yeah. I mean, I doubt we dive into politics too much here, but yeah, bring it on as far as I'm concerned.
For my own job, I'm not allowed to.
I'll tell you one thing, and I won't tell you what I was doing at the time because I was actually doing some political campaigning. It was quite a long time ago now, and I had a conversation with a member of the public about renationalisation of the railways, and they said, well, it's a ridiculous idea. You know, when British Rail was around last time, I couldn't even buy tickets online. Yeah, I don't think that was the fault of British Rail somehow, but that was their reasoning behind British Rail being a bad idea. So
That
yeah.
outdated. Couldn't get an online ticket in 1994. What were they
Uh,
thinking? No wonder
I
they got.
don't know.
It's amazing what some people say. It really is.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite scale? I got a feeling from watching your video because you're doing this. I think we need to cover and talk about this. Your £100 layout challenge
Yeah.
on YouTube, which is a great little series at the moment, and you sort of you've set yourself this target of getting a layout built for £100, with the input of the viewer, feeding you ideas and that. And I get the feeling that you're quite fond of N-gauge, but what is your favorite scale, and how is this £100 challenge going?
So I'll deal with favorite scale first. My favorite scale is double O.
Is
And it always has been. I don't know if it's because it's what I grew up with or what, but it's kind of the scale that visually makes most sense to me. Yeah,
Yeah,
everything sort of looks in proportion, and even if it's not, just to my mind, it looks more in proportion, and I kind of get the same feeling with N. But I've been always fearful of how small it is, and you know, you've probably seen in the videos a lot. I talk about my stupid fat fingers and whether I'll be able to manage Engage and all that kind of stuff. But I admire Engage layouts a lot at shows. And I do a show in Alsager, near Crewe every year, which is with the Alsager Club. And a lot of people there are Engage modelers. And some of the stuff I see there every year is just incredible. So ask me again in 6 months and I might say N, but right now it's double O.
that's it. Yeah, I think what can be achieved in then is quite impressive. If you ever get a chance like to go to the International Engage show, and some of the layouts that are presented there, I mean, there's some absolutely outstanding, beautiful ones. One that always stands in my mind is one called Sandy Bay, which is sort of based on the old North Yorkshire coastal line, sort of around Robin Hood Bay kind of area, and it's just an incredible bit of modelling, I think. Just and it's so simplistic because it's just a looper track with a passing loop and a siding, and that's all it is. And it's set in this beautiful scenery, and I think that's the advantage of engaging it with the of how you can set it into the world. Whereas OO, you've got your limitations because of baseboard size, etc. And it sort of flips. So yeah,
But you see, there you go. Without the scenery, that would have just been a looper track on a bit of wood. The story comes from the scenery.
that's
And you're absolutely right. That is why scenery and everything that goes around the tracks is so important to me because that is where your story is. Um, and without that, that would have just been a looper track.
yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right because I mean I don't know if you're involved with it, or I know quite a few people we've spoken to have the Rail 200 diorama challenge at Pico have set. I mean, I've been having a go at that, and again, I've just laid some track out, and it was just a blank board, and I didn't feel. I was looking online at other people's entries, and it's like I don't know why I'm bothering. Really, it doesn't really feel like it's got a chance. But as you say, as soon as you start adding the scenery to it, and it starts telling the story of where in the world it is and what time of year it is, and everything like that, just from the use of the products, and all of a sudden there's something there, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I I don't know about you, but then my son says to me, you don't really run the trains a lot, Daddy. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm just more of a modeler than a runner. I just like making the models. I like making the scenery. I like building the buildings, and that's I think, yeah, like you say,
And
it's
that's one of the things, everyone approaches this hobby in a different way. Some people are all about running the trains, and that's great. And some people are all about the modeling, and then there's other people that are a bit of both. So immediately to mind is Richard Watson in New Junction. He loves running these trains, and we'll take long sessions doing exactly that. But he also absolutely gets excited by getting stuck in on the scenic projects and things like that as well. So, yeah, you mentioned about the Pico Rail 200 competition. I've bought one of the boards, and I'm gonna have a play around with it. I'm not going to enter the competition, and there's reasons for that. So I'm not a Pico stockist. I'm not allowed to be a Pico stockist because I don't have a bricks and mortar store. So yeah, so I tend to put more focus into supporting my suppliers, but I couldn't resist buying one of the kits and having a little go myself. But yeah, I'm not entering the competition.
that's fair enough. They're I think they're a great size board.
Mm.
They really make you think of what you can get on that that footprint. Um, I'm uh, I'm glad you said that you're not entering though. Not that I don't want you to enter. It's just that I've been considering buying a second board, and I thought I'd feel bad if I stopped other people getting into the competition. But it's I'm not the only one doing it now, so that's fine.
Yeah, do it. It's just it's I think it is a great initiative, by the way, and well done to Pico for doing it. It's somebody had to take the initiative there, and they've done it, and they're executing it very well as well. And I'm pleased to see that so many people are buying them and getting involved.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there was one point where I thought about doing the £100 piece based on that competition board, but then I wouldn't be able to do the full layout as such. Um, so yeah, and you did ask me about that. Sorry.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
the £100 layout is an idea that's been knocking around for quite some time, and I have to give some credit to my partner Claire for part of the inspiration behind this. But also some of it came from watching. You might remember Hornby magazine did a £500 layout series not so long
Yeah.
ago, which is good. But I think even their £500 didn't include their locos and rolling stock, and so actually it was probably more like £1,000 layout.
I did.
Um,
If I recall, yeah, I did feel like it was a bit of a cheat. I was like, it's good, but I do feel you've cheated.
Yeah, and I mean it was good to show what you can do from scratch on a budget. But I thought, I just see so much online talk of, oh, this is too expensive now. How are we going to get people involved in the hobby if everything costs this much? And I get it. I get what they're saying. There some things that come out onto market, I take a look at and go, wow, how is it that expensive? Um, but at the same time, I was convinced that you could do it for cheaper, and I haven't proved it yet, because I'm very early on in the build. But even the fact that I managed to get a brand new loco with two wagons for £37.95, just by somebody opening my eyes to Kato Pocket Line. It's like, okay, there are ways to do this cheaper, but without buying really bad secondhand stuff. So yeah, it's interesting. And you mentioned as well about taking guidance from the audience. That kind of happened by mistake. That wasn't really ever the aim. I thought I was just going to share some videos of me building this layout, but the amount of comments and ideas and feedback that were given from the first episode just meant that I thought this is not just for me to do. This is for people to guide me through and help me along the way and come up with ideas. And that's been really, really exciting to see some of what's been suggested. And the next episode, which will be out this week, I will be looking at some of the suggestions that people have put in about adding a canal to it and things like that. So it's really exciting, and it's something that I've been enjoying putting together. So yeah, I'm glad that people seem to like it so far.
I think it's a really entertaining series of videos. I've sort of there's not many, and it's no disrespect to any other YouTuber. There's not many YouTubers where I will constantly keep up to date with their videos. I'll tend to watch a few and then leave it for a little bit, and I'll be back in a couple of weeks' time, sort of thing. But yours, as soon as there's an update, I've been watching it because I am fascinated to see if you can do this and achieve the £100 layout, which I think be spectacular. When you get there.
Do you think we'll do it for under 100?
Do you know what? I wasn't sure because I remember you spoke to me. Was it Model Rail Live? Not Model Rail Live.
Model World Live, yeah, it was,
Yeah,
yeah.
Model World Live. I'm muddling up magazines here. But and I remember you telling me about it, and I was curious, and I thought about it afterwards, and I was like, how will you do it? Because the thoughts crossed my mind as probably many YouTubers do, is you think of different video series you can do just to sort of try and get the views in. And I was like, I could maybe try and do I was thinking, we got a load of secondhand models that just sort of sat in a box that Lenny didn't want anymore because he moved on to a different scale. And I was like, I could probably see if I could make a layout with that. So when you said about yours, and I was thinking, oh yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking about. I was really curious just to see how you get there. But like you say, everything seems so expensive. But I mean, the ideas that have come up in the video, the suggestions from the people that are watching, the products that you found, the like I said, the pocket line, a brand new loco with wagons for say £37.
£37.95, yeah.
It almost feels like it's a dream, or it's like you're making it up. It's like
Yeah, and actually, if Rails of Sheffield had have had any in stock, and they sell them for 36 quid, it's just it's madness.
but
And the fact that I've now got to the point of deciding, okay, I'm going to do this with a brand new loco, brand new rolling stock, and brand new track straight out of the packet. Originally I thought this was all going to be digging around in boxes at shows or toy fairs, trying to find the ropiest old cheap track and then spending ages cleaning it up and to actually have brand new track laid down. Yeah, I'm well happy with that.
yeah, because that's the bit that's really impressed me is the fact that you've managed to get brand new stuff to do this as well.
I think you first of all showed that you'd picked up a cheap double O kit, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's the sort of, and then it was almost like the big reveal of I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting because it was almost like it hooked me in more because I'm like James, I'm always interested to see these kind of builds. And then as soon as I saw that you'd picked up the N-Gage set for as cheap as you did, I was like, okay, I'm brilliant. I'm in. And that not only as all three of us have young children, that's the kind of project that you could start where kids love. I don't know what it is. N-Gage really seems to attract children when I see it at shows. Like it's always the one that the kids are really, really into. And I I saw that little logo set. I was like, "This is cool. I'm in. You've got me hooked now." So yeah, I mean, congrats for even bringing it to my attention because I didn't know that existed until you brought it up in your video.
Well, and I didn't know it existed until somebody mentioned it in the comments, and that's been the real eye opener for me is some of the stuff that I've learnt about. I knew a little bit about Kato Unitrack before because I know I've mentioned Jonathan from Train Tracks a couple of times in the videos, but also Jonathan is Jonathan from JS Models, who's one of my suppliers, but also somebody that I meet up for a beer at shows and events, and we get on very well. And he does these like hexagonal bits that clip together laser cut things for Kato Unitrack. And he showed me to them once before, and I thought, well, that's pretty cool, but didn't really think any more of it. And now here I am building a layout with exactly that kind of stuff.
That is cool. Yeah. I have one question with your list of rules though. So you got the £100 budget. Where do you stand on birthday presents?
Well, it's yeah. It's funny because actually somebody asked me in the comments about that. They said that they were going to have a go at building a £100 layout as well, but they'd just had their birthday and been given X, Y, and Z. Can I still use those on my layout? And I said, of course you can. It's your layout. You can do what you want. But for the purposes of this video, no, I won't be using any gifts. And I won't be using, it was important for me as well. Obviously, I've got trade accounts. And even if I buy something at trade cost for this layout, it will still be calculated at full RRP. I'm not going to cut any corners there. Somebody challenged me on the baseboard costs, the fact that I wasn't going to include those, which then prompted me to go, all right, I'll go find a really cheap way to do a baseboard, and we're now building a baseboard out of a pallet that costs £3. So yeah. I'm taking challenges in my stride, but no, I won't be including birthday presents.
Fair enough.
Thank you for offering to buy me loads of stuff for my birthday. That's very nice.
Right. It's just how we roll around here. So yeah, I look forward to seeing if the £100 challenge can be completed, and I do wish you the best of luck on that one. So you've covered with the pocket line Kato locomotive. Would that be your favourite locomotive, or is there another locomotive that you own that is your favourite?
It's no, it's not. It's not my favorite. When you say about that I own, it's probably something that I would say I co-own with my dad, and that is it's very basic HST set, just because it is an HST. In the correct original intercity livery. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a layout at home at the moment. Obviously I'm building the cheap one, and once that's done, I do intend to build myself an N-gauge layout. And I've got an idea on that, and I've got a class 158 old East Midlands Railway, so you can tell I'm probably going to do something that's local to me. But yeah, I would say that the favourite that I own is going to be the HST set that lives with my dad.
That's very cool. Is that the not the blue and yellow livery, the livery that followed that one? Is that what it is? Or was it
Yeah, it's like the grey, and yeah, it's not the swallow, so it's not the executive. It's the grey and yellow and red and white stripe.
Yeah, I like that one. That's a very nice livery. I like that. Yeah, and cross country painting one of their power cars like that, and I never managed to spot that one. I don't think I saw the other two, but it is a really nice livery. But so that's your favourite that you own. Is there one that you don't own? Then is there something you've got your eye on that you would like to get in the future?
Because so obviously I left Essex when I was 18, moved up to Stoke to go to uni. And then I ended up staying in Staffordshire. That meant that my local main railway became the West Coast Main Line. So I got into that, and I used to spend a lot of time going to and from London with past jobs. So I used to spend a lot of time on Virgin Pendolinos, and there's something about the Pendolino being it's like the you can probably tell I'm a little bit more modern image than I am uh older stuff, but there's something about the Pendolino that is it's like the completion of APT for me. Um, APT was destined to be one of the most phenomenal engineering achievements for its time, and never completed. But it did in some respects. The Pendolino completed it. And the original Virgin Pendolinos, I spent a lot of time on them. Um, if you can ignore the smell from the toilets, which was always horrendous, then they were fantastic trains to ride on. So, yeah, I'd love to own a proper Pendolino set at some point, and yeah, definitely in the Virgin color scheme as well.
That's very cool. Yeah, so that I take it that'll be an N-gauge one to go with the rest of it. So one of the Revolution models.
Yeah, maybe, maybe. I think I am going to end up doing more in Engage myself, just because of the space that I've got. As Sam mentioned, it got a young child, so he now takes up all of our space and all of our time and all of our money. But if I can squeeze in a little bit of space somewhere, it'll be out in the workshop where I speak to you from now, and yeah, so it'd probably have to be engaged to do something.
That's cool. That's cool. I like that. Yeah, and yeah, I think the Revolution Pendolino is absolutely stunning model, absolutely beautiful thing. So it's definitely I can agree with you there for one to aim for. That's
Mm.
that looked great. Cool. Right. So you say you haven't got a layout as such at the moment, apart from the £100 one that you're working on, but you had worked on something with your dad. So is there a project during your time that you're particularly pleased of that you've worked on?
Um, we did a few things actually when I was with my dad. So I spent a lot of time with him over lockdown. Yes, we built a roundy to start off with. But actually have he's got quite a lot of space where it was. So we started to then plan out this idea of uh a a longer layout that still had a loop around the back to make it roundy. Um, but the front section to be separate modules that connected to each other. Don't know if I'm explaining this very well, but basically, so the line went through all of it and connected all interlinked. Um, but each module was completely different. So we had one module that was like a London docks scene, and that was sort of steam era, um, and that kind of thing. And then as you went on to the next module, that was based on a station that is local to me where I am here that doesn't exist anymore. So, that was a completely different scene. And then the third scene was going to be like a quarry scene as well. So I quite liked the idea of having an interlinked layout, but with separate modular sections, just for the interest factor. So yeah, that was probably the most interesting to work on. We never really finished it. And my dad's been in ill health over the last year, so he hasn't really carried it on himself. But yeah, maybe he will do now. He's starting to get a bit better.
That's good. I'm glad to hear he's getting better. So but that yeah, that does sound cool. It's a great idea, isn't it? That the modules, the different parts of the world. I've sort of seen some people do it before. In particular, I went to Oxfordshire Narrow Gauge Modelers the other week, where they have their club in a village hall just outside of Banbury, and they're sort of similar. It's one bit's like Linton and Barnstaple, and then there's a little section that's part of Africa, and then you've got
Mm.
sort of a bit of Wales in there, and yeah, I think there's others where they do spring, summer, autumn, winter, and yeah. So that does sound really cool. That just that passing the world because everyone sort of so can be a bit linear about how they build something. Sometimes, don't they? It's like, I've got to be this part of the world, this section, and that, and then I suppose some modelers that they want everything in there. So like you say, I want a dock and I want a viaduct and I want a tunnel and I want this. And I suppose with the modules, you can have everything you want, and even if you don't have room, you can swap them out. I suppose.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer in rule one, but I would take rule one and run with it and say it's not just about what locos you run, but it's also about whatever you want to do on your layout. It's your layout, it's your imagination, it's your story. Do what you want with it. And if you are going for a prototypical layout and you've set your stall out that you want everything to be prototypical, then great. That's your choice, and that's great fun, and the research that goes into it is brilliant. But also, if you're somebody who just wants to do what's in your mind and what you want to do it. Rule one plus, I call it.
I like that. That reminds me of a colleague that my brother worked with, and he's got probably what you say a rule one plus layout because he's got everything on there, and I think he puts up YouTube videos. My brother said, and people complain that that's not right, that's not right, and the guy's like, I've got TIE fighters flying over the top of it. It doesn't matter.
Brilliant.
It's
Have
my
you
layout.
have you ever seen the layout? I think I'm getting the name right. The Museum of Transport.
Yes, yes, I think I know the one you mean.
Love it. It's completely mad. It's completely bonkers, but it's got trams on there. It's got trains on there. It's got planes on there. It's got fairground rides. It's not even that big, so it's all squeezed into and it makes noise and lights, and it's just fantastic. And I think it's been on the circuit for many, many years, so many of you will have seen it. But that's a rule one plus. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't all fit together, but it's great fun.
Yeah, I know the one you mean now because when I go to film it, I can't work out how to film it, kind of thing. There's so much going on. You're like, I'll film this bit. I know this bit. This it's, but yeah, it's what it's what the owner enjoys, and they get to display all the models. They get to collect what they want. Um, and like you say, yeah, rule one plus. I like that term. I think we should definitely make that the official term.
Yeah, let's coin that phrase right now. Rule one
Indeed.
plus. Everyone
Rule
go
one
with
plus. Yeah, TIE fighters, Starship Enterprise, whatever you want on there.
it.
Godzilla just having a walk around in the countryside. Why not?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because, and I know this is something that you guys have spoken about on this podcast before, and it's actually something that I'm planning to dedicate a whole podcast to at some point, and that is mental health and just how important hobbies like model railways are for mental health. And I've been to the darkest points of crisis personally in my life. One of the things that sort of helped me forward from that was my hobbies, and in particular railway modeling, because it allows you a healthy escape from the pressures of life. There are plenty of unhealthy escapes out there, whether it be food, drugs, alcohol, whatever. But railway modeling is a fantastically healthy escape from pressures and to put yourself in your own little world. So, if you're enjoying what you're doing, then don't ever let somebody else tell you that you're doing it wrong. Um, by all means, take advice and guidance and help, but if it's what you enjoy doing it, just do it. Because hey, we're only here once, so do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right there. It is a hobby that we can enjoy, and as you say, it's one of the better ones to get suckered into. From the list of the bad ones that you gave, I can't say that it's the cheapest, but
No, 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 no.
But it is, yeah, you're right. It's for your own enjoyment, and yeah, as I say, I think we try to cover some of the mental health, and um, it definitely is something that we should all be encouraging each other and not trying to knock each other, but just because someone's modeled something that you wouldn't do it that way, you don't like it that way, it doesn't mean that that person's wrong, and it doesn't mean that you need to go in and all guns blazing and trying to read them the riot act and get
Yeah.
do it the way I want you to do it. It's a flexible hobby, isn't it? And it should be, and that's why there are so many various interests. It's probably why we have so many different scales, or why we have so many different genres. It's full of variety that just brings us all together. I think I sort of covered it before. I think I did an analogy. It's a bit like Star Wars fans, but we're less toxic. But there's something you take away. Each Star Wars fan takes away from Star Wars a different element that they like. But it doesn't mean that we're wrong or we're right. It's just that's what we enjoy from that thing.
Do you say we're less toxic? You don't spend much time on RM web, do you?
Well, I've got a bone to pick with them because apparently the premium service was an automatic update, and I'd been paying for it for the last year, and I had no idea.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sure I only signed up for a year, and I got an email today, and it didn't renew this time. What do you mean this time?
Oh no.
Renewed last time. Yeah, I think I think you're right. Sometimes it's Hiring Web's a funny one because there are nice people on there. There are
Oh, God, yeah.
really genuine, helpful people, but I suppose you get in all walks of life. There's always the odd few that can make it awkward or difficult. And
Yeah, and look, it's not just an RM web thing, and I picked on that because that's kind of like the go-to thing to pick on for that kind
oh
of
yeah,
stuff.
I've been on other railway forums are available, and other not so pleasant people are also available on these forums. So
Yeah, and yeah, Facebook's a great example as well. I found that Instagram is probably the safest place to talk model railways so far, but I'm sure
yeah,
that'll change.
yeah, we get a lot of feedback on that one. That tends to be, it's particularly when we ask the question. I think we'll come to with you later. What's your favorite resource? And a lot of people do say Instagram because they do say it feels a much more friendly place. And
Mm.
yeah, I don't tend to notice a lot of people telling you that you're wrong and you should do it like that. And everyone's just like, yeah, like your picture, nice modeling, and it's a more pleasant environment. I look forward to your episode on mental health on the podcast then, and listening to your take on it. That'd be very interesting to hear. It says here, what is your next hobby purchase? I suppose that probably be for the £100 layout. Is that giving it away? We asked that.
No, I don't know as if it is at the moment. What's what's your next hobby purchase? Well, probably more stock for the shop is is the correct answer. I mean, just placed another chunky order with Expo this morning, so more new MiG ammo stuff landing tomorrow. But uh, my next personal purchase may actually be an airbrush. So. I've increased the Railstuff range of airbrushes quite a lot over the last few months, and working with a new supplier on that. And yeah, I've been eyeing up some of the Sparmax starter sets. So anyone who doesn't know Sparmax, they're out of um they're the same company as Iwata. Just slightly different design, a little bit more modern looking, slightly cheaper than Iwata as well. And there's a starter set that I've got my eye on to upgrade from where I am at right now. But if not, then it will probably be another roll of plaster cloth for the £100 layout.
I like the sounds of this starter set, airbrush set. That sounds curious, but yeah,
I'll send you the link later.
excellent. So the plaster cloth, I take it you will be searching around for the cheapest one you can find.
Yeah, and the cheapest one I can find is at rail-stuff.com. Yeah, no, plaster cloth. It's one of those products that I was incredibly frustrated with how expensive it was. You know, uh, 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 an unnamed brand selling a roll of plaster cloth for 9.99 was just madness to me. So yeah, I've got suppliers from like the arts and crafts sector, and I buy in bulk. And so yeah, we go £2.50 a roll or a 5 pack for £10, which I think is more reasonable. I'd love to make it even cheaper, but I've got a family to feed, so yeah, it'll have to be that price, I'm afraid.
That's fair enough. Children do need to eat. It's most
Yeah,
important.
and he's got a bit of a habit of eating as well. I wonder where he gets that from.
Mine do that. Every day they want feeding. It's
I don't know.
not.
Sometimes it's like 3 times a day as well. It's God.
Well, yeah, they act like they're hungry, and then you put the food on the table, and then they nowhere
Throw it
near
on
it.
the floor.
Yeah, just leave the table, just run around the house. Just one day we'll all be able to sit down for a family meal, but I'm imagining that's probably going to be another 13 years. But, we'll see on that one. So,
Yeah.
what is your favorite part of the hobby? Is it the scenic side of it?
Yep. Yep. Without a shadow of a doubt. It's not to say that I don't get great enjoyment from laying track and running trains. I do. I love it. But there's just something for me about getting stuck into a scenic project and making it come to life one layer at a time. Um, is really special, and trying out different techniques. And that's the thing. Like you lay some track. It's only really a couple of techniques in terms of the way that you can do it, um, and then it's done. But when you're building scenery, there's so many different ways to approach things. There's so many different methods to try, and um, yeah, and YouTube is a phenomenal place to see what other people do. And there's a guy he's an Australian guy, and I'm gonna go and forget his name now. Is it like Boulder City? Oh, what is his name? I'll have to remember his name. But some of the stuff that he does and the step-by-step videos he does with building scenics is just incredible. Um,
That is Luke Towan or L
Thank
Towan.
you. Thank you. Yeah, Luke Towan's videos are absolutely incredible. Um, so yeah, all that kind of stuff is very inspiring as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, in the short answer to your question is scenics.
Is there a particular part of the scenic that you like? Are you a fan of ballasting, or do you like making your own trees, or just creating the scene of a lovely field or something like that? Is there something that really, you look forward to doing when you are modeling?
Um, there is something quite exciting about the static grass phase, um, because it instantly changes what you're looking at. And I think, I've been through the fly swatters and the puffer bottles and all of that kind of stuff, and then eventually invested in some WW Scenic stuff, and you know, it was worth it. And the results you get from that is really satisfying, especially once you've learned how to do it properly. And you can take just a completely blank piece and turn it into something very realistic in two shakes of your static grass applicator, really. So yeah, I enjoy that bit. But I enjoy any of it. I enjoy a bit of painting as well, but I'm not very good at painting. But I do enjoy it. So yeah, I'll have a go at anything really.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, no, I think you're right. Yeah, static grass does it's amazing, isn't it? And you put that glue down and then shake it on, and then, like you say, it's incredible how it just changes the scene. And I think absolutely right. It is worth investing in the proper applicator, because I was exactly the same as you. Tried the puffer bottle, tried the flask spot. They're okay, but that is one investment I think you won't regret, is buying the static glass applicator.
Yeah, the puffer bottle I think actually gives reasonable results for its value. So I'm not against the use of a puffer bottle, but you do get through a lot more grass with a puffer bottle as well. and your coverage can be a bit more patchy. But £100 layout is going to be absolutely, it's going to be puffer bottle because it's not in the budget to go out and spend 60 quid on an applicator.
That would wipe your budget out pretty quick, wouldn't it?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, I think we done the Rail 200 board for Lenny as well. He wants to take part in the under 16, and so I gave him, we still have the puffer bottle, and it is useful for getting in those tiny little nooks and crannies that the larger applicator can't quite get into. So they both have their uses. But yeah, if you're starting off, the puffer bottle is absolutely fine, isn't it? We're going to ask you the question. Obviously, you've mentioned that you will probably build an N-gauge layout in the workshop at some point. So if you are going to move on and create this new layout, what is the one thing that you're going to need on it?
The one thing I'm going to need on it is Cheadle. So Cheadle is the town where I live, and it's Cheadle, Staffordshire, not Cheadle, Manchester, by the way. And I say it's the thing that I need on it because I've always wanted to build a Cheadle station, which doesn't exist anymore. It was knocked down in the late 80s, early 90s. So they stopped running passenger services there in the 70s, and then it remained open for freight because we've got quite a lot of quarries around here and things like that. So it was used as a sand freight depot more than anything. And then in 1983 they ran the last ever passenger service, which was a intercity charter service for people going to Alton Towers. So it was because that's like 3 miles away from here, and it was designed, as a tester to see whether some of these old routes could be used as like tourist charters and things like that. So the whole story around Cheadle Station fascinates me. So the layout would have to have Cheadle on it, and that may not be exactly the kind of answer you were looking for, but for me, that has to be on the next layout that I build. It's something I've always wanted to do, so I have to do it at some point.
No, I like that. So is this on the old route that went past Alton Towers and that when you get?
No. So Cheadle was actually a branch line that came off of the Crewe to Derby line.
Okay.
So you'd go through Blythe Bridge, and then you get to Cresswell, which was a very small station, and then it would branch off there. And originally, it took a run that was fairly short, that went through a tunnel, and then onto Cheadle. But the tunnel, I mean, we're talking sort of 1920s time here. The tunnel kept collapsing. So eventually, when the railway was taken over by, I can't remember who, but originally it was North Staffordshire Railway, and then somebody else took on the railway. They actually built. They replaced that section and went around the hill basically, and took a different route into the town. But the old tunnel, somebody then bought it and turned it into a colliery. And actually, there's phenomenal pictures online of people that have been in since it closed, and the artifacts that are left there. So the whole thing for a 4 mile branch line was quite fascinating. But Cheadle was kind of ignored because you got the Crewe to Derby line that was a couple of miles south of it, and then you got the Churnet Valley line that was just a few miles north of it, which is the line that would have gone to Alton and places like that, and is now a fantastic heritage railway. And we're very lucky in this area. From where I live, I've got Churnet Valley Railway a couple of miles away. I've got Foxfield Railway a couple of miles away, and I've got Amerton Railway that is only a few more miles away. So we've got some good heritage around this area.
Definitely, yeah. I love the Churnet Valley Railway because that's where I got to drive 33102 for my 30th birthday. So
Oh, lovely.
Indeed, but yeah, no. I've had a quick Google of Cheadle Station, and I've actually found the vote of, you say, the special train to Alton Towers sat outside the platforms of 47 on some Mark One coaches by the looks of things. But yeah, that looks
And
great.
how strange that station looks, just sat in the middle of nowhere at that point.
But yeah,
Um,
it's
yeah,
yeah, it's kind of like I want to say a zombie apocalypse kind of
yeah,
scene in a way.
it is. It is. It's very, and that's because all of the stuff that's on the left-hand side of the picture was originally it had buildings there and whatnot to help with the running of the station, but then all of that got flattened just so it was easier for them to do the sand in and out. But my vision for a layout is very much to have Cheadle Station, but imagine if it was still open today. So, it would have the East Midlands DMUs running up to it. It would probably be like the station building wouldn't exist. It would probably be more of a station shelter like Blythe Bridge is, and but also the goods yard area to turn that over to JCB, because JCB is all based around here as well. And I have this vision of sort of Lomax taking modern day JCB tractors in and out at the station as well. So yeah, bit of imagination running wild, but yeah, a modern take on it.
I like it. I look forward to seeing it. That's all I can say for that one.
Yeah, you may be waiting a while, but
I can wait. I can be patient. Right, I'll move on to the next question. This one's going to feel a bit of a loaded question, really, because obviously you are Railstuff. You do sell lots of products, but we'll ask it anyway. What is the one hobby item you'd encourage everyone to buy?
oh, there's so many different things I could give as answers to that.
Just go to the website and have a look. Is that the answer?
Um, you know what I would say is basic set of weathering pigments. That might be a really odd choice to make, but I think most of us have got some basic tools. We've probably, all got basic glues and bits and pieces that we need. If not, you know where to go get them. But I think one of the most common questions I get asked at shows and events is, I want to try weathering, but I'm scared. And my general answer is buy a starter pack of pigments. And the reason for that is that the pigments, and I'm sure there'll be some people disagreeing with me, and that's fine. My opinion is that the pigments are incredibly versatile. If I need a wash, I can water down some pigments and turn it into a wash, and I've got a wash. If I want like a thick muddy paste, I can just make that with pigments as well, and mix it up. But also, if I want to try weathering without necessarily applying paint directly to something, then start with a dry pigment, start dry brushing it on. Once you get happy with it, you can seal it in place with a clear spray varnish or something like that, a pigment fixer even, and there you go. But if you're not happy with it, you've only dry brushed it on. It's a lot easier to take it off without any damage, without worrying about it. And so if you want to try weathering, just buy a starter set of pigments. So either you can go and MIG do one that's called First Aid Basic Pigments, or you can just drop me a line and say, right, what should I start with for some pigments? And there's a go-to sort of 4 or 5 pigments that I'd say pick those ones up, and you probably won't need anything ever again. So yeah, I'm a big fan of pigments. So I'd probably say that, and also go with it as well. If you've never tried them, get yourself some rubber brushes. Rubber paint brushes are brilliant for applying pigments. So MIG do them. I'm sure other brands do them as well. And they're so much easier to clean as well. No bristles, but yeah. So go with a bit of pigments and try a bit of weathering yourself.
I like that. No, I've never tried rubber brushes, so I might have something I have to give a go. But yeah, no, I think pigments is a great shout for starting off in weathering. That's sort of how I wandered into it. It was again, I pretty much the same as like you say. You have customers where you're a bit nervous about applying some paint to one of your models. So yeah, I started off just a couple of coal wagons and just a bit of the old soot around the boards to make it like the coal dust, a little bit of sort of brown around the frame for the just the track dirt that's sort of splashed up on it, and that's all you really need, isn't it? And like you say, just a bit of fixer, and hey presto, you got yourself a nice little weathered wagon. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of stuff is just dusty dirt anyway in real life. So, in many ways it can give a really authentic look. So yeah, I love a pigment for exactly that.
this is true. In fact, I think someone tipped a load of pigment over my car on Saturday when we went to the Bloxham Steam Fair because we were parked in the wrong bit of the field, right by the exit. It was so dusty. Come back to the car, it was just brown. Oh man, I only got that washed the other day.
Probably something like MiG R3007 Dark Earth, or
Yeah,
I've probably got that wrong, but yeah, something like that.
I think it was very close to it. Cool. Right. So obviously you attend a lot of exhibitions as Railstuff. Do you get the chance to have a look at the layouts, or do you get any chance to go to an exhibition and not be Railstuff? You just add them in person, having a look at shows. Do you have that opportunity?
It's very rare. Um, I do always try and get a look around layouts. So quite often it's Sunday mornings before the show opens on a Sunday morning, because on Saturday morning I'm always still running around doing last minute jobs, pricing bits and pieces and all that kind of stuff. Sunday mornings are a bit more chilled out. And I normally wander around with a coffee before the show opens and just have a good look. But yeah, occasionally I get to go to shows, uh, when I'm not working. But they tend to be sort of smaller, more local shows, maybe shows that are 1 day shows, because I don't do 1 day shows apart from the one that I'm putting on myself later on this year. I just yeah, with the amount of product I've got, I can't do 1 day shows. So yeah, if there's a local 1 day show, then you might find me wandering around it. But generally, I'll be at the big shows on a Sunday morning, have a little wander around, normally with a sausage sandwich in hand as well.
Do you have a favorite then? Is it the one? I mean, even if just attending as a trader is the one that
Oh,
you?
sorry, I thought you were asking about sausages.
Well, yeah.
What
What about sausages? Yeah.
so do you mean favorite show?
Yeah. Is there an exhibition or yeah that you particularly like, or is I mean one that you go to
Yeah.
as a viewer and maybe one as a trader? I mean, maybe not answer the one as a trader might upset the other ones. I don't know.
No, I mean there's I've got a few shows that are regulars for me now, that I've been to year after year after year. Um, and there's probably still one or two of those that I go to more because I love the show than the success I have as a business, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Uh, um, but what I will say is, if at the start of the year you said to me, which is the one show you are looking forward to the most this year, it's always going to be Gets for me, and that's going to be a controversial choice, I'm sure. Um, but there is something about the Great Electric Train Show in Milton Keynes that just has a vibe and a buzz around it that a lot of other shows don't. Um, I get very excited by big shows anyway, because it's always it always feels special as a trader to be at a big show and to be part of it and to be in and amongst the big brands and all that kind of stuff. I love smaller, more local shows as well. But probably my favorite show of the year is Gets at this moment in time. Um, and yeah, I'm looking forward to being there again this year. I've taken a bigger stand than I've ever booked at a show before for Gets this year.
okay.
Um, and I'll be throwing something at it because I love it. But yeah, what I would say is, by all means, go to all of the big shows. But if you got an opportunity to go and support local clubs and local shows, then the £5 that you spend on the door at a local show, will mean a lot more than the £25 you might spend on the door at a big national show. So make sure you support your local shows as well. And this weekend I'm off to Buxton, which is I love that show. It's fairly local to me, but it's a lovely part of the world. It's a lovely venue. It's always good fun. So come spend your money at local shows as well.
Yeah, no, I think I totally agree. The little shows are just as good sometimes, aren't they? And they do deserve the support. Of,
Yeah, I think as well you find absolute gems of layouts at local shows.
Hmm.
That you might not see elsewhere. Uh, I feel like the big, really big shows are now the perfect place to go and see new products, new technology, new releases from brands, and to do all your shopping. It kind of feels like they're so big that they are where you go to do all of your shopping and to see all the new latest stuff. A bit like going to a car show.
Yeah.
And it feels like if you want to go see quirky, smaller, unseen layouts, hit up all the local shows because you'll find some absolute gems. And I think, sometimes we need to remember that the big national shows, they are commercial enterprises. I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think they're a different show. They're a different category. You can't compare a local show to a big national show, because they're two very different things. But I love both.
Yeah, it's a bit like Premiership and Football League, isn't it? Kind of sort of standard, but
Yeah, in a way, it's funny that as I mentioned, Gets being my favorite show, literally the second I said that, my email inbox pinged with a email from Warner's about the NEC show. So it's like they must have been hearing me, and they're like, "Hey, don't forget us."
they're always listening. Always
Yeah,
listening.
yeah. Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Is there a particular layout that sticks in your mind? Have you got a favourite layout that you've seen at any of the shows or anything like that that you've quite enjoyed over the time?
There's one that I can't remember the name of, that is fantastic. But because I can't remember the name of that one, I'll have to give you my second choice. And it's a very boring choice because everyone's seen it and everyone knows it. Um, but it catches my breath every time I see it, and that's Copenhagen Fields. It's a giant. Having said that, I really enjoyed seeing the what's it called? Eastfield TMD, the massive
Oh yeah, that one.
O-Gauge Scottish one that was a Model World Live. That was great. So I'd seen that at Model Rail Scotland, I think it was the year before. And that's yeah. So those two, I wish I could remember the name of the one that I like. I saw it at Ruddington many years ago, and it was like an end-to-end piece, but it had a lot of sort of like test trains, and it was like I would say it was set in the 80s, but it was all like British Rail test trains, and there was the APT test train, and yeah, I'm gonna have to find out what it was, and I'll have to send you a message sometime with what it is. But that's probably the best I've ever seen. But otherwise, let's go with Copenhagen Fields.
Oh, that's cool. I think I know which one you mean, but I'm struggling to remember the name of it as well. In fairness to you, and I'll admit to the listener, I forgot to send you the question, so I have sort of just sprung these on you as we've gone through.
It's fine. If anyone listens to my podcast at any point, then I don't give people the questions in advance, so so I'm far more cruel than you are.
Throw him in the deep end. But so you mentioned a particular exhibition that's happening this year, which is your exhibition. So what is it about? What led you to decide that you're going to have an exhibition?
Right. Well, first of all, I was probably wrong in calling it an exhibition, because what I don't want to do, I'm not going up in competition with any model railway shows or anything like that. It's not a show; it's a Railstuff open day.
Yeah.
And so I get frustrated with the fact that if it was up to me, I would be at a model railway show every single day, which you might otherwise describe as having a shop. It's what I'd love to do is to have a shop and have people in every day, but it doesn't make sense in the current climate. But that's why I spend so much time going to where people are rather
Hmm.
than waiting for them to come to me. Um, but it does mean that sometimes I can't show off the full range. I can't um, display everything in a comfortable way for people to be able to browse, because I'm constantly having to squeeze it into a space to save the pennies and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted an opportunity to throw everything wide open so that everyone could see the full range and spend a bit more time chatting and asking questions and all that kind of stuff. So the idea originally was I'd just go hire a room out somewhere. I'd put all my products on display, and if anyone wanted to come down and have a look, then great. And then I got thinking a bit more, and I thought, actually, wouldn't it be nice to have some demos there? I've got this vision in my mind of doing a demonstration event more than a model railway show at some point in the future. So I thought, well, I wonder if I could get a couple of demos there, and then that got me thinking. I wonder as well if I could get some of the what I class as the friends of rail stuff. So people that have been on podcasts or that I've worked with on projects, and I wonder if I could get some of those to come. And so it kind of developed from there. I found a good venue. It's a village hall, but it's right on the A50, which for anyone who doesn't know this part of the world is the road that links the M6 to the M1 across through Staffordshire and Derbyshire. Um, so it is very central and it's just off that road. And I've got space there to host some people. So Dan Everson's coming. So he's bringing up some bits and pieces from Tunnel Lane. He's bringing a layout to put on display as well. I think it's Dewstone he's bringing. But he's going to do some demonstrations of his painting on the day. I've got Tom Foster from Tom Foster Weathering, who he's doing the same. He's got a diorama that he's bringing, and he's going to do some weathering on the day. I work with a company called the Airbrush Company. So one of their guys, Ross, is coming up for the day, and he's going to sit there doing some airbrush demos, but also he's going to have a full airbrush kit sat there. So if anyone wants to come sit down next to him and try it for themselves, they can do. I'm hoping he doesn't know whether he can yet, but he wants to. I'm hoping that the Richard Watson from New Junction and the Cura Scale fame is going to be there. I'm missing people. Oh, yeah, Jonathan from JS Models is going to be there doing some demos. Mark from the Wagon Yard is going to be selling some locos and rolling stock, seeing as I don't. The full rail stuff range will be there. There's going to be a couple of layouts that are being supplied by Stafford Club, because they're my nearest club. And then there's one other stand. Oh, sorry, the guys from Buxton Rail-X are coming as well. They're going to demo some track making. And then the one other stand that's going to be there is I've invited along Andy's Man Club, who are going to be there to talk about the benefits of sharing your mental health challenges and how they can help and just spreading the word of what they do. So that's what we've got planned, and it's going to be a family affair. The boy's going to be there, and the missus will be there for the full day, and my parents and the in-laws are coming, and they're going to help run the like the refreshments and all that kind of stuff. So, real family affair. And hey, do you know what? If two people turn up, I'll be thrilled. So yeah, it's just a bit of fun, and we'll see how it goes.
That sounds great. And to make sure that more than two people turn up, what date is it?
It is Saturday, the 6th of December. And the venue is just outside of Uttoxeter. So it'll be fairly easy that basically you follow the brown signs towards Alton Towers. And then there'll be a couple of other signs towards the end that say Railstuff Open Day. And it's right off the A50. Yeah, Saturday, 6th of December, 10 a.m. till 4:30 p.m. And free entry, free parking, and also everyone who turns up will get a free entry into a competition where myself and some of the friends of Rail Stuff will be giving away some bits and pieces on the day as well. So, if you come for nothing else, just come to get involved in a free raffle, basically.
You don't need any more reason than that to go, I'd say.
No, and I know for some people it'll be a bit of a trek, but it won't be for everybody, but that's fine. I just hope we get a few people popping up. And I have just remembered I missed one of our biggest guests of the day off my list. I knew I was missing somebody. Tom Marshall from Buggles Kelly is going to be there as well. Not with the Buggles Kelly shop, but he's bringing some of his incredible scenic diorama work to show off and talk to people about. And yes, he just he's coming to talk about scenic techniques and what he does and everything like that. So yeah, I knew I'd miss somebody. Sorry, Tom. But Tom Marshall
I
from
was wondering.
Buggles will be there.
I'm sure Tom said he was doing this.
Yeah. And it's funny. I asked him the other week. I'd be really interested in getting you on the podcast. And he was like, I've just recorded with the other guys. So I was like, right, we'll take a little pause and then we'll have you on in a couple of months. So yeah, Tom's a good guy. We were pretty much next to each other at Market Deeping show a few weeks ago. So got chatting a lot, especially on the Sunday because it was dead as a dodo.
Yeah, no, obviously Tom's a big fan of our show. He's always trying to get on it, sneaking to our adverts and stuff like that.
Good on him.
Yeah, no, Tom's wonderful, wonderful person, lovely to talk to, and yeah, always very pleasant to have a chat with on a podcast. So I look forward to hearing you and Tom have a conversation in the future.
We always seem to end up in the same hotel as well with no planning. We just seem to bump into each other at hotels near shows. So yeah, but no, I'm very grateful to him for coming over as well.
Yeah. No, that'd be good. Yeah, Tom's modelling is fantastic. So I think you've got some real great names in there. So obviously Dan does some superb modelling, and his figure painting is incredible. Tom's weathering. I was disappointed to hear because I think your podcast was where he first announced that his Scala Fell layout was going, and I was glad to hear that because it didn't matter that it was a Thomas-based layout, if you want to call it that. It was a realistic model layout of the Skarloey Railway, which I thought was fantastic, particularly the viaduct. A superb bit of modelling, and he said, "Oh, it's going." I was excited to hear that, but yeah, and Tom obviously great at weathering, and yeah, that sounds like a really good day out, to be honest. And what else is people going to be doing on the 6th of December?
Well, exactly. Yeah. Oh, and that's the other thing is there'll be a couple of tables there of Christmas gifting items as well, railway themed Christmas gifting items. So, if you need an excuse and just say you're going Christmas shopping, 6th of December will be perfect time for going Christmas shopping. So do that. And I think the other thing to say is that will be where the £100 layout goes on display as well. So it will make its public debut at the Railstuff Open Day. I've got a couple of other little bits and pieces that I've done over time that I'll be showing as well. But yeah, I've had quite a few people messaging so that they're coming, which is nice. So in fact, I think one of your most recent guests, Lucy from Farkham, said that she's coming. So yeah, it'll be nice. And just even if a few of us stand around having a brew during the day, then happy days.
Yeah, yeah. I suspect you'll have a good turnout. I think you've got a good lineup there, and it sounds very appealing. So all I want to say is all the best for it. And
Thank you.
yeah, if I can make it, I will try and make the effort to go there myself.
Lovely. Well, you would be more than welcome. I'll tell you what, I'll give you free entry as well.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Oh, you're too kind. I bet not everyone gets the same treatment, right?
Yeah.
We'll move on to our last question then of today, and we also like to ask, do you have a favorite resource? And we sort of touched on this earlier. We're saying, the pleasantness of people on Instagram. So, is there one out there? Is Instagram your go-to? Do you like YouTube or Facebook? What's your recommendation?
It's not Facebook. I don't really use Facebook myself personally, which is probably it's been a little bit of an issue for Railstuff because I'm not very good at Facebook, so um, because I don't use it. But yeah, Instagram is good for showing stuff off. I wouldn't necessarily use it as a resource personally for working on a project. I think there there are two places that are my favorite resources. One would be a model railway show, because I think there is nothing like being able to actually see something with your own eyes, not through a TV screen, not with the perfect lighting and all that kind of stuff. I want to see it for myself, and you get a real feeling for the highest quality of modeling when you do that. So, and actually, some people have said in the past that they're in a rut or they've lost their creative mojo. My advice has always been go to a show. Just go to a show, wander around, look at all of the layouts that people have put together. Your mojo will come back. And so that is one for me. The other one I have to say is YouTube. I think it is a phenomenal resource for any modeler these days. But what I would say, from my point of view, is don't just pigeonhole yourself to railway modeling. So particularly for weathering, look at the techniques of scale modelers, of military modelers. Um, there's some fascinating stuff that you can see and that you can replicate, because rust on a tank, rust on a piece of rolling stock, it's all rust. And there's a lot we can learn from each other, which is why I think Model World Live is a great concept, and it's why I did the MAF Nationals last year, which is see if I get this right, the Miniature Armored Fighting Vehicles Association, which was interesting to see, the differences in what they do and the similarities as well. So, yeah, YouTube is a great resource, but don't pigeon yourself to railway modeling.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent shout there, because you do go to YouTube and you tend to fall down that rabbit hole of I like model railways. I'll just watch model railway videos, and like you say, every now and again there will be someone else modeling something. That's obviously my interest is Star Wars, so I'll see someone building a Star Wars diorama, and like you say, there's techniques on it. I never thought of doing that. I didn't even consider that I could apply that to railway modeling. So I think that's an excellent shout out. Right then, Adam, that ties us up for today. And all I can say is thank you very much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. If people want to find you, where are you in the internet world? How can they get in contact with you? Where's your website? All your details.
First place to find us would be rail-stuff.com. I don't know if I can. Can I do something cheeky here? You can
Go
always
for it.
edit it out if
Yeah,
you
I
don't
say,
like
if
it.
Sam don't like it, he'll cut it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I would like, because many of your listeners won't have a clue who I am, who Railstuff are. So I would love to give your listeners a little offer, which is 10% off anything at Railstuff off your next order. So just use the code MRRP10, all in capitals, MRRP10, and you can have 10% off anything at Railstuff with your next order. Um, because it would be lovely for you guys to see what I do and see whether you like it. If you don't like it, then feel free not to buy anything.
No, I don't think that's going to get cut. I think that's an absolutely great offer. Uh, and I'm sure all our listeners will appreciate that. So thank you very much, Adam.
Not a problem. And also on YouTube, you can just search for Rail Stuff. That's the easiest way to do it. Just search for Rail Stuff. Same thing on any of your podcast platforms. Just search for Rail Stuff. The podcast is actually called Rail People by Rail Stuff. So yeah, feel free to listen. It's not as good as this one, but I try. And
I heard the first episode was a bit ropey. You had a bit of a ropey guest on the first one, I think. But after that, it definitely improved.
you've always got to have a practice, though, haven't you?
I hate both of you. Both of you. You both suck. Okay.
You've been very quiet, actually, Sam.
Oh, that's brilliant. Adam, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. I've really enjoyed talking to you, and I'm sure our listeners have really enjoyed listening. So thank you for giving up your time and coming on today.
You're more than welcome, and thanks for giving me the opportunity. And of course, I would love to have probably just you, James, actually, 'cause Sam's already been on, but we'll have to repay the favor in the opposite direction at some point.
Absolutely, yeah, and I'd love to come on. Be fantastic.
Great.
Excellent. Right, we're going to take a short break and come back for Call Attention Corner.
You there? Oh, me? Do you like model railways? Yes, that's why I'm listening to the Model Rail Replacement podcast. Do you like comedy? No, that's why I'm listening to the Model Rail Replacement podcast. If you like model railways and comedy, head over to BugglesKellyStation.com. From Dad's Army to Will Hay, Laurel and Hardy to the island of Sodor. Add a comedy cameo to your model railway today. All right, thanks. Buggles Kelly Station. You won't be wasting your time.
So that was Adam of Rail Stuff from the podcast Rail People. And do go view his £100 layout challenge on YouTube. A very entertaining series. Right then, I'd say we go to Call Attention Corner, but I think the block bell is broken because nobody is calling attention. So nothing to shout out this week. So we'll move straight onto the exhibition calendar. And what do we have? Well, let's have a look. For Friday the 11th of July, West Midlands Narrow Gauge Group July Group meeting at Four Oaks Methodist Church Hall, 155 Lichfield Road, Sutton Coldfield, West Midlands. Saturday the 12th, Enfield White Webbs Railway Modellers Model Railway Exhibition at the White Webbs Museum of Transport at White Webbs Road, Enfield, Middlesex. Saturday the 12th, Folkestone, Hythe and District Model Railway Club Open Day at St Andrew's Methodist Church at Cheriton Road, Folkestone, Kent. On the 12th as well is the Holcote Methodist Church Gloucester Model Railway Show at Holcote Methodist Church, Casebrook Road, Holcote, Gloucester, Gloucestershire. Saturday the 12th, Southwark and District Model Railway Club, Hindenburgh Model Railway Show at the St John's Church Hall, 194 Tonbridge Road, Hillsborough, Kent. On the 12th is the Risborough District Model Railway Club Open Day 2025 at St Mary's Hall, Church Street, Princes Risborough, Buckinghamshire. Also on the 12th and the 13th is the Blythe and Tyne Model Railway Society's RailX North East 2025. This is the Park Sports Centre at Howden Road, North Shields, Tyne and Wear. We also have that weekend Barry and Penrith Model Railway Club Penrith exhibition. This is at the St Cyrus Comprehensive School in Surrey Road, Penrith, Glamorgan. Also that weekend, Celtic Preservation Society Model Show 2025 at the Barrow Hill Roundhouse at Campbell Drive, Staveley in Derbyshire. For Sunday the 13th, East Sussex O-Gauge Group is having an open day. This is the Village Hall at Pett Road in Pett, near Hastings in East Sussex. And that is all for this coming weekend. Well then, Sam, that pretty much wraps us up for this week. What are we doing next week? Are we talking to Hilton from Proper Chuffed, or are we having a discussion?
Next week, we're talking to Hilton from Proper Chuff. So you're being treated to 2 interviews in a row. And in fact, I think by the time this season runs out, you'll be having an additional interview / bullying Sam session. I guess I'm yet to see how that's going to pan out.
It's just an hour and a half of several modelers bullying Sam for being small, even though he's probably one of the taller ones of the group. But I mean, our very own little John. Right then, Sam, if people want to find you, because you're so small they can't, how can they?
If you want to get hold of me, you can find me on Instagram at Good Little Southern Boy. Sorry, that's at Emperors_Path. Alternatively, you can find me on YouTube at Emperors Path, or find me on Facebook at Emperors Path. James, how can we find you?
Well, you've got to find me by looking for the Western Signalman, and you can do that on YouTube, Instagram, but you can also find us as the Model Rail Replacement Podcast on Instagram, on YouTube, Facebook, although we haven't do anything on Facebook, but you can go there if you want. And also you can email us if you have anything you want us to know about, shout out about, etc. Just drop us an email, modelrailrp@outlook.com. That wraps us up all for this week. So all I can say is that hopefully we've been entertaining, informative, and replaced your model railway, if only just for a little bit. I've been James, and with me has been Sam. Thanks for listening.
This service terminates here. Please ensure you take all of your personal belongings with you.
Hello, listeners. We've got some very exciting news. Do you want to be part of the podcast? Do you want to join the team? Well, an exciting opportunity has come up to allow you to be part of the Model Rail Replacement Podcast. And here's Sam with the details.
This episode is brought to you by Patreon. A huge thank you to our Patreons for their support. If you'd like to help support the show, you can head over to Patreon and search Model Rail Replacement Podcast, where you can show your support and be part of the team.
Hurry, there's unlimited places.